views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Open 2.0, the show that opens the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. I'm your host, Skylar, and we've got a great show for you today. Our guest today is WBLS DJ and manager of NT Management Services, LLC, Neicy, did I say it right?
Yes.
Neicy Tribbett. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Where you want me to start? When I was young,
yeah.
when I was started my career, or?
Yeah, when you were young.
Well, I am a manager. Well, I was a manager for my son. I'm mostly known by my son, who's a two-time Grammy Award winner, Neicy Tribbett. Wow. All right, so I started in radio in 1990. Most of my career was in Philadelphia area. I started there. And I got kind of laid off, kind of fired a couple of times. And one thing about radio, once you get bitten by that bug, you can never, ever get it out of your system. And my thing about being into radio is just something that I just happened to fall into. I was a normal housewife, just doing my housework around the house, listening to the radio, and I heard a commercial where they were looking for a receptionist. So I said, let me go and try it out, So I traveled from where I was to Trenton to apply for it, and what they were offering me for pay was not worth the trip. So I said, you know what, I really don't want to do this. I really want to be on the air. They said, you do? They said, go into studio and read a flyer. I read a flyer, they said you're hired. And that's how I got into it, right? So I was like, oh my God. Then they had me in for to try out or to train in the morning. Then they booked me for the midnight to 6 o'clock show.
Yes.
Now, it was in the boonies, and so my husband at the time said, no, I don't want you traveling, being there. I loved being on the air overnight because whoever's listening is half asleep. I can make all the mistakes I wanted to and get away with it. But when he told me he didn't want me to do that shift, I told the manager, and he transferred me to Philadelphia. And the rest was history there. I was able to serve on almost all of the stations, like in Trenton, it was WTMR, then in Philadelphia, Love 900, and then Gospel Highway 11 to WDAS. And from there, I went from AM to FM. I did the Sunday celebration on the FM. And then from there, I went to the Praise Philly station. And you want me going? You let me know when to stop.
I mean, we want to learn about you.
Okay. Okay. So in between my WDAS days and my Praise Philly days, my son was starting his career. And so he needed a manager. And he said, well, Mom, since you're not doing radio anymore, why not be my manager? And, it made sense because I had the industry ties with whomever I dealt with, from the record labels to the record executives. So it made a lot of sense. And so we did that. And we traveled all over the world. And I was with them for about 7 years. And after a certain point in his career, he wanted to do something and launch a management team to take him further. So I elevated from just being a momager to being a mom. And I went back into radio. And in about 2013, I was going to relocate to Texas. and I got a call from Hezekiah Walker, and he asked me to be a co-host, and I said, okay, I'll co-host, but can I do it from Texas? He said, no, you have to come to New York. So I had an interview with Skip Dillard, and the rest is history. I've been here for about 6 to 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been great.
It's amazing. How does it feel to be such an influential woman in radio today?
It's a responsibility, you know, to be an influential person. It means that there's a lot of weight on you. You have to watch what you say, how you carry yourself. You are a model, role model, whether you sign up for it or not. Just because I'm in the public eye, you know, I have that weight on me. So it has its good points and it has its bad points, you know. I have not what I call, I haven't arrived, but I'm on my way. So, you know, that's a good thing, but it's a responsibility.
Please hold that thought because we have to take a quick break, but we will be right back with more Open 2.0. Welcome back to Open 2.0. We're continuing our discussion with Miss Neicy Tribbett. I have another question for you. Did you always want to be a radio host as a kid?
No, I never grew up wanting to be a radio host. I was always into music, gospel music per se, because I grew up in church. And in high school, I did the choir. I directed the choir. I don't know if are you familiar with Ty Tribbett and what he does? He's very
Not really.
animated. So if you look him up now, you hear? That's your homework. But he's very animated. He's not a regular just gospel artist. And so he kind of take after me to a certain point. I was a very animated choir director. But, you know, I never grew up like, I want to do, no. I just happened to fall into it. And I felt like at that day for my interview, if I'm going to be at radio, I'm going to be on radio, you know. So I said, no. I'm not working behind the scenes. I'm going to be up front. So that's how that happened. And I never thought of it as, to answer your question, but it has become my passion now. You know, I'm only happy when I'm doing this.
It's become something that you want to do,
Right.
that you want to follow.
Exactly.
You also manage other talent. Can you share with us what that is like and the duties involved?
Yeah, I manage a comedian. Her name is Lady Key, and also Monique Latisse. And it's really unique because it's not a regular genre that's easy to book. So my job is to find them bookings, and when their bookings come in, to negotiate everything to make sure they're getting the right fee for what you know what they're worth. To make sure travel is correct, to make sure their hotel and all of that. I managed also recording artists. Miranda Curtis was one. Angie White of Philadelphia. And they were, you know, very active in the gospel industry. So you have to make sure with Miranda Curtis, I was responsible for being the liaison between her and the record label. She was trying to get a deal. So I had to make sure everything was on point, you know. And that contract lasted for a year because she already had her team in place to take her through her everyday travels. So I did that, you know, so yeah. I don't get everyone who come to me. I don't take them on because I need to know their motive. You know, a lot of people, well, can I say many people know that I am Ty Tribbett's mom and they want to be the next Ty Tribbett. And it's like, that ain't gonna work. And I did not make him who he was. He is that already. If Peter Pan managed him, he would still be Ty Tribbett, you know what I'm saying? So I was just able to take him to a certain point. But, you know, for an artist, you have to have it in you. And then we just cultivate and navigate what's already in you.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You've had the opportunity to travel around the world. What was your favorite place?
I would say Spain.
Wow.
Yeah, we went to Spain. during the Christmas season, Barcelona, Madrid, and it was amazing.
Did you get to speak other languages, like learn?
No. No. We were there for about 2 weeks, and we stuck with the foods that we were familiar with, and that was the hardest thing, you know, that language barrier, but everybody was nice. And one thing, we were over there because Ty had to, I say minister, or you say perform, and it's good to know that with music there is no language barrier. They were so into whatever he was singing, and it was not their language. So it was cool.
So it was nice to, like, they were fans of him.
Yeah,
even if they didn't speak the language.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. What is the importance of developing strong relationships in the industry?
It is important because relationships speaks out. It speaks beyond experience, relationships, because you can know all that you know about what you do. You can be skillful, but if you don't have that person that will get you in to showcase or display your experience and your skills, it is not going to happen. And I think that for the most part, relationships is the most important part of getting anywhere. That's why you have to make sure of how you conduct yourself when you're not even thinking about what you want to do and where you want to go, especially when it comes to social media, because once you get to that point of where you want to be, that will all catch up with you. And so you got to be careful and be nice to everybody, you know, even if you laid off, boo, just walk away, because you never know, the tables may turn. They may have to call you back. But if you leave the wrong way and you break that relationship, that bond, they will not even consider you, even if you qualify. You know, so relationship in any manner, not just the industry, anywhere, is so important.
Do they become more like family after a while?
Yeah, absolutely. Because even after you, your career or whatever you're into, if that's severed, you still keep in touch with, you know, each other. And when you come together, there's a bond. And not only that, but, you know, as I said before, if something should come up, you're always the first one to be considered.
Wow. So you're always the first one, you know, if you have a good relationship with them.
Yes. Yes.
Have you had any experience where they were bad ones?
Yes.
Or where your client was just like not for it? Just
Absolutely. I've had clients who said I did nothing for them.
that's
I'm like, boo. But you have to, and what I learned from that was to just be nice and graceful. And, you know, a few weeks later they called and we had a regular conversation. So that let me know that though that experience didn't work out, the relationship is still intact.
Yeah. And then you don't have anything, they don't have anything bad to say about
Right.
you. Yeah.
A good name is rather to be chosen. Always keep your name. If you don't have money, have a good name.
Right.
You got that?
We appreciate you taking the time to share your story with us. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. We'd like to thank our guest, Neicy, and you, the viewer, for joining us. If you missed any part of today's show, you can tune in to the recablecast of Open 2.0 anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. We had the opportunity to speak with music producer and engineer Reco and Multi-Platinum record producer Amadeus at the Bronx Collective Creative Center. Here to tell us more is Natalia Campbell.
Welcome to Open 2.0. I am Natalia Campbell. We are here speaking with Reco, music producer and engineering. Can you explain what a music producer is?
A music producer is not just making beats, which a lot of people think. A music producer is someone who's gonna take the song from the beginning to the end, from arrangement, songwriters, other producers, beat makers, all types of things, to bring it to the end product that we all hear today.
And in your own opinion, can you explain what it takes to be a music producer and also an engineer?
What it takes to be a producer, of course, you're gonna need a laptop, and you're gonna need to know a little bit about music, of course. And from there, the internet will teach you a lot of things.
And how did you start your music?
Pretty much the same way. I was, my dad has been doing music for a long time, so I've always been around it. So one day, one Christmas, I got a laptop.
Okay.
So of course, I went on the internet and downloaded software, and from then I've been making music.
So who inspires you or encourage you to do this or continue doing it?
Definitely my dad, of course. My mom, my friends, everybody around me. They support what I do, and they're always gonna ride with me.
Okay, day one.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first track you produced, and how old were you?
First track I produced, I was probably, let's say that's 10th grade. I was probably 17, 16. 16. I was around 16.
Okay.
And then it was a reggae track actually from a guy I met. He was just doing reggae music, and he needed somebody who could put beats together.
Okay.
And I was fairly new at putting beats together, but my family's Jamaican, so I kind of knew a little bit of reggae, so I just threw something together for him. He ended up buying it from me. I ended up recording it for him, sent it out for mastering, and that was my first track
I'm
ever.
also Jamaican too.
Yeah.
And what kind of equipment would you recommend for an upcoming producer to use?
For a producer, definitely, this is gonna be a plug for Native Instruments. The Machine Micro, you can't go wrong. It's not that expensive. It's under $300. If not, your laptop and Fruity Loops works perfectly fine.
What's a Fruity Loops?
Fruity Loops is another production software,
Okay.
similar to Pro Tools and Native Instruments Machine, Ableton Live. They all do pretty much the same thing, but it's much cheaper. And all you need is a laptop. You don't need extra gear that costs a bunch of money.
And what kind of instrument you use?
Not really an instrument player much.
Okay.
I love the piano though, so whenever I can, I do a little something, but it's strictly by ear.
Okay. How do you make a song more you and worthy to produce out in the Bronx?
Get some fire lyrics, a fire beat, and just come here.
Have you ever been starstruck, and if so, who was it and how did you keep her cool?
I mean, she's not too big of a star. She is to me because I watch her all the time. I used to work at a place in Harlem. I was doing the sound engineering. So I'm setting up a mic and I hear this familiar voice. And I turn around and it's Angie Martinez. And it was around the time where I had worked on a project that had came out. And I wanted to so bad walk up to her and tell her, like, you gotta listen to this. But I had to keep it professional, so I couldn't. But it was really like grueling. It was.
How long have you spent in the studio creating a track?
It could be weeks, it could be days, it could be hours, it could be years. I still have tracks that's like from last year that are
And you
just
use
sitting
them?
there. Do I use them? Personal reasons. Sometimes I listen to them. Some of them are not done. Some of them are waiting on other people. Some of them I just feel like I could do better.
Is there an artist that has passed that you would like to work with?
An artist that passed away?
Yeah.
One passed away a long time ago. I would have loved to work with Biggie while he was still here. I would have loved to work with Speaker Knockers. Of course, Nipsey Hussle. Everybody want to work with Nipsey. That's the one right there.
How do you keep things fresh in our environment of endless sampling?
Keep things fresh. Just keep making new stuff. Even if it sounds like it's similar to something old, as long as you put a new twist on it, you try something new, it's always going to be fresh.
So thank you for taking your time to talk with us.
No problem.
Welcome to Open 2.0. Today we are talking with a music producer, Amadeus, at the Bronx Collective Creative Space. I am your host, Natalia Campbell. Thank you for having us.
Hi.
So, could you describe how a music producer is?
Well, yeah, my job as a music producer is to create the music that you hear in the background of your favorite song. So you hear like Cardi B and, Little Baby and Gunna, your probably your favorite, artist, A Boogie. You hear the lyrics in regards to what he's saying, but I'm the person that creates the music, the melody, the beats that drive the song, And the process normally is we create the music first, we create the beat first as producers, and then we pass it off to, your A Boogies and the different artists, and they kind of, say, hey, I like it. Hey, I don't. If they don't, you kind of keep going until you find a beat or track that they love. They write a song, they put it out, and hopefully you enjoy it. So that's, the process and what it is to be a music producer.
I think that's great. Maybe if I'm looking forward to it, I would like to
Be a music producer one day?
Maybe.
Maybe. Why the maybe?
Cause I'm not really looking forward into being a music producer, but I might try. Cause I think it's cool.
What do you love? What are you most passionate about?
A lawyer.
So why don't you be an entertainment lawyer, and then you can represent producers. So there's people like myself that produce music, but you got to handle the business. The business is very important. Royalties, publishing, you're getting paid, and then you can come in and say, hey, where's Amadeus' check? Where's the paperwork? He needs to get this. He needs to have this. He needs to have that. You can be that representation for us, music producers and artists. So follow your dreams, man. If you're passionate about it, you keep pushing it and be that lawyer. I'm gonna come look for you one day so you can. Might be a lot older then, so maybe I have some young producers that you can be an attorney for, but keep pushing.
Okay. And who has inspired you to be a music producer?
Growing up, my family loved music, so I got to listen to all different types of genres, gospel, hip-hop, jazz, R&B, soul. So I fell in love with music, being surrounded by it in my home. And then my parents forced me to go to Catholic school, where I had to dress up and wear slacks and shirts and ties, which I hated. But in 4th grade, I learned a musical instrument, and it was drums. And I went through the whole phase of wanting to be an artist and a rapper. We're gonna fast forward that part and act like you never heard it. And decided to be a music producer, being the fact that I was already a drummer. And when you think about music and production, drums play a very important part in regards to music and production. So me being a drummer was like a cheat code for me. And I fell in love with it. I became passionate about it, just like you, wanting to become a lawyer. And I decided that that's what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And here I am today, 18 years later, producing for over 90 artists such as J-Lo and French Montana and Lil Wayne and Chris Brown and Trey Songz and Keisha Cole and B.T. and Sprite and Marcus Houston and Remy Ma and Papoose, Busta Rhymes. I'm trying to remember all of the people, but it's been a great journey.
And you work with A Boogie.
Yeah.
That's my artist.
He's from the Bronx too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you a secret. That was my first name.
A Boogie?
It was my first name. When I said A Boogie, everybody laughed at me and said that name is whack, and then joked on me, and then eventually I got Amadeus, right? But I tell you that story to just share how, sometimes you'll have a vision and what you want to do and what you want to be, what you want to say, what you want to be called, and people might not understand that vision. People might laugh at you, people might, joke on you for it, but if you believe in it and you know that that's what you want to be, that's the name you want to use, you go after it, because as you can see, that young man from the Bronx said, I want my name to be A Boogie. Not just A Boogie, but A Boogie with the hoodie. And we're probably the ones that don't even understand what it all means, but he does, and he believed in it, and now we have A Boogie, So I'm proud of my name, Amadeus, don't get me wrong, but it used to be A Boogie. So A Boogie, you might owe me a check or something for the name, because I had it first, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And how do you make music more you so you could publish it to the world?
Great question. With making music and creating music for 18 years, I feel like what allowed me to be successful and to be relevant still today is creating based off of what I feel. I've never been one to follow trends, follow styles, follow sounds, whatever's working today. I just kind of do me. Very important thing though is you do have to evolve. It's very important to be, because the music that my parents listened to was different from what I listened to, and as you can see now, the music that I listen to and I created and I grew up on is different from what you guys listen to. But there's an appreciation for it all, and that's one thing that I must say. Being able to create and adapt to the new wave, the new sounds that are out today, has helped me be successful continuously.
Okay. If you have anyone, a family member or anyone like a friend, how can you tell them like to stay focused so they could, maybe if someone want to be a music producer, what would you tell them to do so they could be that?
You know, part of it is what I say, I think, but the most important part is what I show. You know, it's one thing to say something, but when you actually show people your actions, people see what you're doing, and they can be really motivated and inspired by it. So just to see how hard I work, you know, the sacrifices that I make in order to be successful is, like as you mentioned, family. Sometimes you're away from family for long periods of time. You know, me touring with Trey Songz, and I've been touring with Trey Songz for 12 years. So there's moments where I'm gone for 3 months at a time, like back to back, not home, you know, and it's tough, it's difficult, but when you have a support system and you have people that love you and people that believe in you and believe in your dreams, they push you. You know, they get on your nerves every now and then. I'm just gonna say that. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. But for those that are tuned in, for you that's sitting here doing a wonderful job interviewing me, you know, we all have dreams. You know, we all have dreams, and at the end of the day, we go to sleep at night and we think of who we want to be, what we want to do, and I just believe deep down inside that those are supposed to be our realities. You know, there's a reason why we're getting those visions, and we're getting those visions as we sleep, so that when we wake up the next day, we ought to figure out ways to kind of bring those things into fruition and to bring those into reality. So that's how I feel about dreams. And so for those that are tuned in, for you, you know, whatever you love, go after it. You know, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard, there's going to be people that's not going to believe in you. It could be family members, it could be parents, friends, people that say they support you but don't really. You know, it could be that type of situation, but you got to use that as motivation. You got to use that to allow you to be even more focused on what it is you want to achieve. You know, you want to change things in life. You want to, you know, my man, I said earlier, he won one of these. You know what I'm saying? And all of these things are obtainable. It's just hard work, dedication, focus, being able to be told no. You know, wipe the tears from your eyes and keep pushing, knowing that God gave you something unique and great and a gift that you can share with the entire world. So just keep pushing. I know I keep saying that, you know, over and over again in this interview, but you got to keep pushing.
Facts. Who was
Facts. I like that. Facts.
Who was the first artist you like worked with?
The first artist I worked with was Foxy Brown. She was signed to Def Jam by Jay-Z, and we were working on a movie called Cradle to the Grave. It was a movie with DMX, Gabrielle Union, Anthony Anderson, Jet Li, and we were working on a song that was supposed to be in the movie. So the song ended up being the title track to the movie. So it was called Cradle to the Grave. So it's featured on the soundtrack. The soundtrack sold over 500,000 copies, which gave me my gold plaque, which still hangs on the wall today. And that was my first opportunity. And the song also played in the movie for 26 seconds. You see, I remember that. For 26 seconds, I got a nice check in the mail for that movie playing for 26 seconds. So that was my first start, and you know, it was kind of pressure because it's like, man, if I started out this way and of this magnitude, you know, where do I go from here? So I just used it as motivation to say, man, if I started here at this level, then it's only going up. You know, I can't go beneath where I started.
When did you publish your first track, and what age were you?
Oof. I'm old, man. I'm 38 years old now. I don't know if I can remember those times. But I started, I'll tell you this. I started making beats in high school. I was about 14 or 15 years old. I first was begging on the desks, and me being a church musician and going to church, the minister of music at that time had a keyboard, and he had just bought it. I'm like, dude, you gotta let me take that home. And he's like, wait, what? I just brought this. I said, well, let me go figure it out. Let me show you how to use it. So I used that, and he let me take it. Every night, as I came in from school, every day, came home from church, on the piano.
Thank you, Amadeus, for having us in your studio with you. I'm Natalia Campbell here on Open 2.0.